Hi guys, I wanted to make this video today because I'm going to share with you a car that I've owned for the last 7 years, but I don't think I've really put on my social media. One question I'm always asked is, what car do you drive? And I'm going to share that with you today. Oh, and by the way, it's going next week. I've got something new coming, so for me personally, I really want to make this video because I've owned this car for 7 years and I don't want to forget about it. It's a big part of my life, so hopefully you enjoy this video. Right, so first of all, before I show you what car this is, and some of you may already recognise the interior and know exactly what this is, but before I do reveal the car that I've owned for 7 years and not really put on my social media at all, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for subscribing to my YouTube. It means so much to me, and last week I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that's great. It's a huge psychological milestone for me to hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. But I have to hold my hands up. I've massively neglected YouTube over the years. I think I've only posted 18 videos on my channel, and that's my bad. A lot of my focus has been on Instagram, but I'm making a promise today. I am going to be making weekly content, at least weekly content for my YouTube. I've got quite a few press cars booked in for the end of next month. I'm going on a 1,000-mile round trip with my new car that I collect next week, and I'll be documenting that heavily. And I'm going to make it a lot more vloggy, I think. I kind of want to share with you who I am a bit more, because you see me at events like Goodwood and when I have press cars and supercars, but I don't really feel like you've got to know me very well. So I'm making a promise to you now that you're going to see a bit more of my personality rather than me just suddenly appearing in a supercar, shouting about it, and then the video ends. I'm going to make a lot more talking to you, and I want to talk to you as well through the comments. So if you have any questions about this particular car, please do let me know. And I actually know quite a bit about the new variant of this car as well, because I actually went on a press trip in Spain a few years ago driving the new version of this. So please do, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I am more than happy to answer them for you. Right, so I guess I better show you what car this is. And of course, it's if you haven't recognised already from the interior, this is a 2014 BMW Z4. I bought it brand new. I bought it on the way back from buying some bread from Sainsbury's, a local supermarket here. I didn't do any planning, and at the time it just worked for me. I didn't spec it out at all. This is completely stock. I've done nothing to it at all. But it's a car that's actually been really enjoyable to drive. It's not powerful. It's only 156 horsepower. I think it was dynoed at 170, so it's slightly more than what BMW quotes. But I didn't buy this for power. I bought it because I thought I would enjoy it on a B road with the roof down, the sun out, and it would just make me happy. It was my happy place, and it has been for 7 years. But it's going. It's going next week. I've got a new car coming. I'm going to share that with you all on this channel. I'm going to document it really heavily because I plan to do so much to that car, and I can't wait to show you what I've bought. But today, I'm making this video. This is a really personal video for me, and to be honest, I don't care if this video only gets 10 views. I'm making it because I don't want to forget about this car. I want to look back in years to come and remember this car and be reminded about how great this car has been for 7 years of my life. So without further ado, let me show you my BMW Z4. Alright, so the sun's come out and I found the quietest place I can find in my area. I'm going to give you a quick walk around, talk about things I like, things I don't like, and yeah. So this is a 2014 BMW Z4 18i. Now there are the newer variants that have come out, and I was very lucky to be invited by BMW to Spain to test drive those on the press trip a few years ago. Loved it. And I've loved this car, to be honest. There's a few things I don't like, and I'll go into those in a second. But in terms of looks, I actually think it's a very good looking car. After all of these years, it still makes me look back over my shoulder when I lock it up and walk away from it, which is a good thing. If I'm still doing that, then I still think it's a good looking car. It has, however, aged. There are things in there that it doesn't have that I wish it did. I didn't spec it out very generously at all. So I'm kind of regretting that, but I've persisted for the last 7 years, so I've done quite well. And it says a lot about the car, the fact that I've been able to put up with a few of the things, some of the creature comforts that it lacks. One of the things I don't like is run flats. Now this car has run flats on it. They are the worst tyre ever, and I would highly advise anyone to stay well away from run flat tyres. They're just a pain in the arse, and also they don't really give a very pleasant driving experience. One thing to point out here as well, this is an 18i S-Drive, so a lot of people, and this has actually been a frustration of mine, a lot of people look at this and go, oh, it's a 1.8 litre. No, it's not. This is a 2 litre 4-pot engine. It's a straight 4-cylinder engine. It's BMW say it's 156 horsepower. However, this has been dynoed at 178. So, as a lot of manufacturers do, quite understated on the power output there. But it's not a powerful car, and I didn't buy this car to be powerful. I never intended to sort of boast about its numbers and what it can do 0 to 60 in, which is just under 8 seconds. When you put the roof back, what it actually looks like inside here, this is actually, again, it's gonna be a mess in here, guys, I apologize, but you can see the whole roof is just kind of eaten up by the boot space. You have to put this kind of parcel shelf kind of thing down, which holds the roof mechanism. If there's any of your bits that are to the sides, then the roof just won't go down. In fact, it actually gets stuck. It will come down and then it will just get stuck, and it's happened to me once and I never did it again. But yeah, you're really compromised on space if you have the roof down. So it's a bit of a frustration, actually, going on a nice road trip away somewhere for a weekend. The sun's out, you've got your luggage in the car, and actually you can't enjoy the roof down because you filled the boot up with your luggage. So it is a bit frustrating that this takes up so much space, but it is what it is, and I've kind of made do for the last 7 years. So, but that's one thing I would sort of say, be aware of having the roof down and how much boot space the roof down actually takes up. But yeah, this particular car I still think looks really nice, and the thing that drew me to this over the previous generation of Z4, the first generation, was these muscle lines, this kind of ribbon that comes off the BMW badge at the front and then kind of goes up towards the windscreen. I think it's quite masculine looking. It kind of makes it a little bit more beefy, a little bit more aggressive. Really big fan of the look of this car from particularly this sort of quarter on angle. Not a big fan of it from the rear, if I'm honest. Also, I'm well aware of the space between the wheel and the wheel arch. If I had more time with this, or if I could go back in time, I would probably have it lowered. I think this car looks a lot nicer lowered. I haven't done any modifications to the engine. The only modifications I have done is I fitted some aftermarket parking sensors. I just really wanted parking sensors. In hindsight, after I collected the car, I was like, oops, I should have put them on. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly open up the bonnet as well. I'll show you. I haven't actually looked under here for a long time, so it's probably going to be really dirty, so I apologise. But let's just quickly open it up and show you. God, I'm worried about... I'm sure it's going to be fine. It's not going to be clean, but I'm sure it's fine. It's very difficult doing this with one hand. Alright, you can see how big the bonnet is when it's up. It's actually huge, because you're pretty much sat on the rear axle of this car when you're driving it, so a lot of the car is in front of you, which is one thing you really have to get used to. But yeah, so the power BMW says it's 156 horsepower. I actually had this dynoed at 176, so it's slightly over what BMW state, but yeah, it's a great little engine. Touch wood, I've only got a week left with this car. I've not had any problems with it at all. It's been very well behaved. So yeah, that's a quick walk around, really not much to report about it. Again, like I said, this video has been made really for myself. It's a personal video to me that I want to look back in years to come and remember this car because I've got so many fond memories of it. And even though I only did 26,000 miles, they were a very happy 26,000 miles. I really, really enjoyed my time with this car. And whoever buys this car off of me, because it's going to a dealership, will be very lucky because I have really looked after this car. It's okay, it's a bit dirty, but it all cleans up very nice. I've just been lazy today and not cleaned it, and I'm sure I'm going to be very angry at myself in the future when I watch this video back at how dirty this car is for making this video. But yeah, this is my 2014 BMW Z4. I'm going to quickly jump in a second and give you some driving impressions and talk about its handling. But from the outside, there's really not much to report. It's very much stock. I didn't tick anything on the spec sheet. I very much went with the most basic of basic models. There's like a million cars that keep passing by, so I'm going to jump in the car. We're going to head back home and I'm going to carry on talking to you whilst driving about some of my thoughts on the handling and the interior and a few other little bits and bobs. So let's head home. Drive home. This is going to be one of my last drives. It's going to be one of my this is possibly my last drive with the roof down in 7 years. And one thing I can say is my next car is not a convertible, so I don't know when or how long it's going to be until I next drive or own a convertible car. I'm sure I'm going to have a press car that's convertible at some point. That needs to go. That's annoying, isn't it? Sorry. So this thing goes up to 7,000 RPM. Again, it's not particularly fast at all. Probably sounded a lot faster than it actually was. I just went up to 60 miles an hour there, which it does in just under 8 seconds. So it's not fast, but you can see what I mean. It's fun to drive, and the fact that it's a manual as well, for me personally, makes it a lot more engaging. But it's just a very, very fun car to drive. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's really practical, because it's not. And one of the reasons why I'm getting rid of it is because I need something that's more practical. Now, I know if you've been watching some of my Instagram stories where I've been at the Porsche garage and you hear me say I need something that's practical, kind of rules out a lot of cars with Porsche. And I've had to have my sensible head screwed on, but at the same time, my next car has been purchased for YouTube, to share with you guys, to document some modifications and to make my channel have something I can feature frequently with you guys, rather than having to wait for press cars, where sometimes I don't have a press car for a month or so, so it means you don't see me, which just doesn't work. I want to be on YouTube a lot more. I just want to have something that I can jump in and make a video whenever I want. So I'm excited, I'm really excited to share with you the car that I've bought. But at the moment, I've kind of got mixed feelings. I'm excited for a new car, but I am actually really sad to say goodbye to this car. Now, I'm going to take a slightly different route home, where we've got some national speed limits and hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. I don't have a wind diffuser or a wind deflector on the back, I would probably advise getting one of those because the wind does sort of whip round, and my girlfriend's always complaining about it blowing her hair around. So if you are conscious about that, do invest in a wind deflector because it does make a big difference. A day like today, having the sun out, the roof down, to hear a little bit of that exhaust note, which does actually sound quite good. It's not overly loud, it's not intrusive, but you can hear it. It kind of echoes off the walls and between the trees. It sounds good, and you can hear that turbo as well. Doesn't sound bad. I'm not speeding as well. If I was in a supercar, I'd be breaking the law now, but I'm not. I'm doing all of this within the speed limit, which is great. And that's why I bought this car. The problem with a lot of the cars that I drive, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, all these supercars, they're great. The numbers are really impressive. Oh, 0 to 60 in 2.5, 3 seconds. But you lose your license in 4 seconds. This, I've got 8 seconds until I do 60 miles an hour, so I'm not even doing 30. I'm not as attracted to those high performance numbers as I used to be. It's not about how quickly you can get from 0 to 60, it's about the enjoyment that you get between 0 to 60. See, this is when this car feels a little bit so it was washing out there, it was starting to understeer. It just doesn't fill you with much confidence over 60 miles an hour, taking what really wasn't a very sharp corner at all. But the front end was starting to wash out and I was starting to suffer from quite bad understeer. So this car, I really can't credit this car for having great handling because it doesn't. But I'm not driving this car like that all the time. This car I bought to drive at sensible speeds and just enjoy the fresh air. And that's what this car does really well. So what else can I say about this car? Well, owning it for 7 years, I think my biggest frustration, to be completely honest, was nice Maserati, was the lack of space. I really suffered sometimes with space. But I knew what I was getting into when I bought the car. I knew I wasn't going to have loads of space. Hold on a second. Now there's 3 drive modes available to you in this. There's Comfort, there's Sport and Sport Plus. Comfort's a lot more fuel efficient. Of course, this being a manual, it's all down to you how efficient you want to be, regardless of what driving mode you're in. But Comfort is supposed to be a little bit more efficient. Then you go into Sport, you actually see the revs pick up a little bit more, the throttle becomes a lot more responsive. And then Sport Plus turns off your traction control. So I've just gone into Sports Plus, traction control's now off. And again, just taking that roundabout, I can feel straight away how the steering is just not great. It's probably something to do with the weight distribution of the car. I'm sure the weight suddenly moves off the front wheels and that's why the front like to wash out. I'm not sure, but something's not right with the steering of this car. Fundamentally not right. All right, so there we have it. My BMW Z4 And I'm keen to get your thoughts actually. What do you think of this car? Do you like it? Do you think it's a good looking car? Bear in mind it's not a supercar, and I know I do a lot of high performance car reviews on my channel, so bear that in mind. My YouTube, by the way, isn't all about supercars, so everything I share with you isn't necessarily going to be a supercar. And my car, this Z4, certainly isn't a supercar. It's barely a sports car, if I'm honest, but it is fun. And I'd love to hear what you think about this car. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my BMW Z4. Should I have featured it more on my channel? I kind of wish I had, to be honest. I wish I had featured it on my channel a little bit more. Well, I say a little bit more, I didn't feature it at all, did I? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've liked my car. I've enjoyed sharing this with you, actually. I wish I'd made more videos with this car, but hindsight's a great thing. And I was a little bit nervous to see, you know, how you guys would react to it, because it's not a massively powerful car. It's just my car that I bought for personal reasons 7 years ago. And I didn't really feel like I wanted to share it on my channel very much. So, yeah, I'd love to know what you think of it. Write in the comments below your thoughts and opinions on this car. Feel free to say what you want. It's going next week. I won't be offended. But for me, this is a car that I've loved very much over the last 7 years. Yes, it has its problems. It doesn't handle great, but it's my car. It's time to move on. It's time for the next chapter. And my next chapter is I'm going to be sharing with you guys quite frequently on my YouTube. So thank you so much for watching this. Let me know what you think of my BMW Z4. It's a very personal car for me. I didn't buy it to show off on YouTube and hoon around in. It's just my car that I bought 7 years ago because I liked it. But I'd love to know what you thought. And if you are in the market for a Z4, they're quite affordable. They're a very good entry sports car. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. There's so much more to come. I'm really excited about next week and sharing my new car with you. And of course, I'm going on a 1,000-mile round trip. I'm taking my new car to Ireland, to the west coast of Ireland, and I'm going to be sharing my time over in Ireland with you guys as well. Bye-bye, Z4. On to the next one.